Welcome back to our conversation with Governor Charlie Baker. And Governor, you came out last week with your second bill in less than 2 years targeting the opioid crisis here in the state. Licensing of treatment facilities, a ban on discrimination against Medicaid patients, expanded prevention in schools, some of the features of that. And also, starting in 2020, you're going to allow doctors to send patients for 72 hours of treatment, whether they want to go or not. Now, in the first go-round last year, the legislature balked at a similar, what they call involuntary hold measure. What's the difference this time? Okay, so the legislature balked and put a 24-hour evaluation that if people wanted, they could take after they suffered an overdose, and basically nobody did. But we do know that 1 out of 10 people who show up in an ER on an overdose are dead at some point within the next few years. And we put a series of voluntary opportunities into this legislation as well. Several opportunities for people on a voluntary basis to go into treatment from an ER if they end up in a hospital as a result of an overdose. I think the goal here, John, is we need to create more pathways to treatment for people and to try to encourage people, especially those who have overdosed. Because once they've overdosed, you know, part of the message here is you're in a difficult place, and this place is probably not going to get better if you don't get into treatment. So we have several opportunities to create voluntary pathways to treatment. We hope people pursue those. But starting in 2020, based on the dialogue we've had with ER docs and other specialists in the field, we ought to create some mechanism to try to encourage these people to at least accept 3 days of treatment, and then if they don't want any more after that, they can leave. How's this going to make it through the legislature where the earlier measure didn't, though? We've processed this one pretty hard, and I think we learned from a lot of the concerns and issues that were raised the last time, and we made a ton of adjustments to the legislation. Give me one example. What's the key difference? 2020. It's a long time down the road. There's plenty of time for people to work on it. We've put 1,100 new treatment beds up over the course of the past 2 years. People don't argue quite as much as they used to that there's no access. And we're also putting a lot of measures in here to support aftercare for people when they come out of detox so that they can get the right kind of treatment in the community, which in many cases doesn't happen, which is part of the reason why they end up back in the ER. Well, all this treatment, prevention, education is going to cost money, and one of your potential challengers next year, Seti Warren, the mayor of Newton, came out with a statement saying, quote, "We can't knock down the opioid crisis until we make our efforts commensurate with the size and scope of the epidemic. $30 million in Medicaid funding, which your bill provides for, is nibbling around the edges and not enough." What's your response to that? Well, Seti should have read the whole press release, because the total value of the amount of money involved in this is state and federal money is probably up around 140 or 150 million. And that's going to come on top of a 50% increase in state support for people dealing with treatment and recovery over the course of the past couple of years, and significant investments of other kinds that are also part of this legislation. Is that going to be enough? I certainly think, look, one of the things we need to do here that we haven't done well is really line up a series of opportunities and aftercare that can work for people. Almost anybody in the addiction community, and a lot of people dealing with addiction and families dealing with it, will tell you that the amount of information they have available to them and the kind of evidence-based approach to care that we use for diabetes, heart disease, other chronic conditions just doesn't exist in this space. And we need to put it there and bake it into the way this process works. And that's a big part of what we're going to be doing as well. Thank you for being here. Part 2 next weekend. Looking forward to it. Appreciate having you. Take care. All right. Thank you.